Okay, we're here using the GoPro for the first time with an attempt to start video documenting our inspections for the purpose of education and just general documentation. Be curious to see how the sound quality is being outside, being out here on the ocean front. I imagine that this is going to be kind of rough till we can continue to get better at making the videos and commentating as we go along. So as you can see, there's the ocean out here. We're out at Condo here on the ocean front that's used as an Airbnb. Airbnbs in Virginia Beach here recently, the city has started mandating that all decks and porches and balconies and whatnot be inspected by a structural engineer and provided with a load rating to ensure structural adequacy. Generally is only applying to short-term rentals such as Airbnbs. So we're here looking at a condo for the Connors. I believe their condo is this one right up here, the one that says love in the window. Unsure if you can see that. Let's see if we can zoom in on it. I think I'm still learning how to use the GoPro. But so this is the first inspection that we've done like this for the Airbnb Virginia Beach inspections. That is a concrete balcony. It appears to be a cantilevered balcony. Majority of the inspections thus far have been wood decks and small concrete porches. So for this, we're just looking for general condition of the concrete. We're going to go ahead and do an inspection from the underside of all of these, given the case that any of the other condo owners who use these as Airbnbs reach out. We will already have some documentation of the material condition. So we'll start at this end. Basically, we're gonna start at one end to get a general overview, a 10,000 foot view of what we're looking at. Just looking down the bottom side of this balcony. We're looking for things such as cracks in the concrete, spalling, any potentially exposed steel reinforcement that's embedded in the concrete. I've already done one general walkthrough prior to starting the video and saw everything to be in generally good condition. But looking at the structure, it looks like our main support system are these pilasters that come up with what appears to be a cantilevered tapered section coming off the end, and then spanning between. Those seem to look to be spaced about 10 to 15 feet apart. And I'm assuming it looks like precast concrete panels that are sitting on top of that. In general, from the underside, I have not seen any cracks. We can see also that there are grooves in the concrete. I'm assuming that that is the overlap of the panels, or if this was all cast in place, which it very well could have been, that they are expansion joints and filled with expansion material and sealant such as caulk. And so if you can look closely at some of these, you can see some cracks within those expansion joints and the sealant. And that's not a structural issue. That's more so the sealant or the caulk that's in there has just aged over time and become to dry out and has started to crack. So that's not of any concern. So part of also not only looking at the underside of these panels, but also looking at the pilasters themselves to make sure that they are in good condition. We can see where there has been some damage at the base of this one at some point in time. Looks like maybe it was kicked, or maybe there was some spalling at some point in time. But in general, it doesn't look too bad. Looks like it's been painted over since then. No cause for concern. It looks like the amount of deterioration has been contained. So, continuing down the bottom side of the balcony, you can also see at the interaction of the pilaster to the greater building, similar cracks in the caulk line to what we see in the expansion joints up above. Completely normal. Can also see up here, looks like a nailing strip. Actually, I think that's electrical conduit because it goes into an electrical box. You can kind of see a gap right there between the electrical conduit and the bottom of the slab. Appears to be just a cable that has been just installed, not perfectly level with the bottom, but doesn't appear to look like it indicates any kind of movement. Overall, general condition looks pretty good. Do we know what year this place was constructed?
1956.
1956. That's what I was thinking, the late 50s, based on just the style of construction.
Yeah.
So I'd say to be 60 years old, the concrete is looking in pretty good shape. Especially being on the waterfront, on the ocean front, with the amount of wind and salt exposure, I'd say it's looking pretty good. See, we've got a little bit of cracking going on right here. That looks like it most likely has spurred from that fastener of that electrical conduit. That appears to be just surface cracking, does not appear to be anything of substance. So we'll walk out to the pool deck. We'll get another overall look. It looks like we can see at these partitions up here that there is a little bit of deterioration and surface delamination. Looks like along this rim board, if you will, that there has been some delamination, and there appears to be some repair work going on currently. Overall, this rim board doesn't serve too much of a structural function. Most of it is in those pilasters, cantilevers, and in the slab. So if we were to expect to see any kind of structural deficiencies, the first place I would expect it would be one in the bottom side of these pilasters and the bottom side of our cantilevered slab. Generally, the loading is going to be coming from on top of the slab, on top of the balcony, which is going to create a downward deflection. Cracking in concrete generally happens in the tension plane being at the bottom of the slab based on the anticipated loading. So we can also see up there some additional surface repairs. Doesn't appear to be anything substantial, appears to be shallow in nature. See it on this one as well. Uh-oh. Tripped over my bag. These condos, I believe, are part of a condo association, and we have been asked to inspect specifically just one unit. I know that in some cases for condos like this, you can see some stairs that lead up. These are going to be considered common stairs. In some cases, we've been asked to inspect things like that, but for this particular inspection, since that is a common area and applies to the entire condo association, that's not what we're here to look at. But just for note for the video, just for education, sometimes we are asked to inspect stairwells, common areas, etc. Sometimes it helps to take a step back from what we're inspecting. Sometimes we can get caught up in the minutia of looking directly what's in front of our eyes, something specific, such as looking at individual pilasters, individual slabs, etc., and we can sometimes lose the bigger picture of the structure that we're inspecting. So sometimes you'd like to take a step back, and there are oftentimes larger deflections that or deficiencies that you may find by looking at it from a little bit larger point of view, a 10,000 foot perspective, if you will. So that's kind of what we're doing right now, is just taking a general overall 10,000 foot view of the area to make sure that there are no obvious structural deficiencies that we would have missed if we were too focused on one individual aspect. So far, we haven't seen anything of structural concern. We've seen a little bit of surface delamination with the concrete, but overall appears to be in good condition. Can see that we also have, looking at incrementally, there are a couple downspout systems